government has decided to increase the cost of living allowance of state sector employees by 1,200 rupees, according to the budget proposals that were announced today.
The 68th budget of independent Sri Lanka and the 9th budget of the alliance government was presented by President Mahinda Rajapaksa.
And it was also proposed in the 2014 budget to provide a maximum of 1,250 rupees as pensions to farmers over the age of 63.
Salaries and allowances given to a number of sectors have been increased through the 2014 budget.
I
propose that the cost of living allowance to all public servants be increased by 1,200 rupees. I also propose to increase the cost of living allowance to pensioners who retired before 2006 by 500 rupees and by 350 rupees to others. I also propose to increase the allowance of judges by a further 8%. I also propose to increase the academic allowance of university lecturers by 5% of the basic salary.
The government also proposed a monthly intern allowance of 750 rupees for medical interns engaged in hospital services. The 2014 budget also proposes that the annual uniform allowance for nurses, family health workers and other staff be increased to 1,500 rupees, while the on-call duty allowance for paramedical staff be increased by 150 rupees per month. The government also plans to grant an allowance of 15,000 rupees to district secretaries, 5,000 rupees to divisional secretaries and 3,000 rupees to planning directors and chief accountants attached to district secretaries to incentivize them to coordinate rural-centric work and to promote better expenditure management and supervision at district level. The budget for next year also proposes that a monthly allowance of 300 rupees be granted for field level officers in agricultural extension services, veterinary services, irrigation and wildlife. It is also proposed that these field level officers be provided motorcycles on a 5-year lease basis.
I propose to implement a pension scheme to provide a minimum of 1,250 rupees as a monthly pension for farmers over 63 years of age from January 2014. I also propose to use the proceeds of the Goviseta lottery along with the capital of 1,000 million rupees from the government to strengthen this contributory pension fund.
The government has decided to continue with its fertilizer subsidy and also to provide a once-a-year subsidy of 5,000 rupees per acre to tea smallholders in order to improve the conditions of their lands. The budget for 2014 also makes allocations to import 20,000 high-quality cows and to develop 125,000 model home gardens through the Divinagama program. It is also proposed to grant 10,000 rupees to the best Divinagama home garden in each Grama Nildari division. The budget also proposes the implementation of a micro-enterprise credit guarantee scheme for women which will provide working capital loans of up to 250,000 rupees without requiring security. It also proposes that Divinagama entitlement cards be issued to small entrepreneurs subject to a payment of 500 rupees.
This will exempt them from having to pay multiple payments to local authorities. I also propose that the annual lease rental of land leased by state agencies to such card holders be reduced to 1,000 rupees if the extent is less than an acre.
The 2014 budget also proposes to extend the 2% nation building tax applicable to the banking sector to all banks and financial institutions. In order to prevent leakages associated with under-invoicing during the importation of used vehicles, the government proposes to revise the customs-based taxes in order to prevent undervaluation. The government also proposes to fix the tax-free threshold applicable for VAT on supermarket scale retail trade at 250 million per quarter, while the telecommunication levy will remain fixed at 25%. The government also plans to reduce tax imposed on fishing equipment as well as engines used for fishing vessels. It also plans to exempt small traders engaged in business with a monthly turnover less than 50,000 rupees from all levies imposed by local authorities. The government also abolished the license scheme that was put in place to transport locally manufactured wooden goods. The budget proposes that a sum of 1 million rupees be granted to every Pradesh Sabha on a monthly basis in order to maintain infrastructure facilities. It also noted that a 10% discount on all taxes will be given to professionals who have sought in foreign exchange of over $100,000 for 3 consecutive years when importing vehicles. The government has formulated new laws to protect Sri Lankan land resources from outright transfers to foreign ownership. From this year onwards, foreign nationals can have access to state and private lands only through long-term lease arrangements. A 15% upfront tax will be imposed in the event of a lease of a state or private land to foreigners.
We will not privatize state enterprises or state banks. I firmly believe that state enterprises should have the presence in the economy for there to be a fair balance between the public sector and the private sector to ensure economic and social progress in our country.
The government also intends to strengthen the Sri Lankan Airlines by providing $150 million. It also plans to allocate $50 million for Mihind Lanka in 2014.
The Treasury has made arrangements to take over the shares acquired in Sri Lankan Airlines by the state banks from the foreign shareholders so that the state banks could be relieved of this burden.